What's going on, everybody? Today's video is about a rad power bike, rad city, rear wheel making a knocking sound, and cause of that is most likely the bearings inside here. And so I just replaced the bearings in this, and after I got done I was like, oh, I should have made a video, but I'm going to walk you through it, just kind of give you some tips and tricks, and hopefully it'll help you maybe if you want to try to do this. The bearings run about 15 bucks, and then if you have to take it to a bike shop to get the wheel trued or laced, that could be anywhere from 40 to 50 to 100 bucks. But a new wheel assembly from Rad is in the range of $350 to $400, $500, I'm not sure, with shipping and everything. So first thing you need to do is remove the wheel from the bike. I'm sure there's videos on doing that, and then remove the tire, and then you'll have this here. And so the first step is you're going to have to take all the spokes out of the wheel. And so you'll need a little spoke tool, and you're just going to unscrew these counterclockwise all the way around and then slide all the spokes out until you just have this center hub assembly, which is the motor. And then once you have that done, the next step is to remove this freewheel right here. And so you'll take a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and just tap that nut counterclockwise, and it'll come off pretty easily. And then the next thing you'll need is the Freewheel tool, and this is a FR-1.3 tool, and you'll stick that in there and then hit it with an impact wrench, impact driver, and it'll go hit it counterclockwise, and then you'll be able to just spin it off the shaft. And behind there will be two washers, so just make sure and keep those. And then once you have this freewheel off, you're going to take out all these Phillips screws right here, all the way around. So just use a screwdriver, take those out. So once you have those out, you'll just have this center motor piece right here. And what you'll need to do is go rent a puller from AutoZone or O'Reilly. It's a 3-prong puller, and you can just take this assembly in there and kind of just match it up, make sure the arms reach to the edges right here. And so once you got the puller, this thing isn't very tight. The puller, you can use your hand to crank on it to get this thing apart, but some people are scared that if you put the puller right here, the finger of the puller, it might crack this assembly. So what people do is just run some wire between two of the holes right here to make a little loop. Some people use clothes hanger wire, I think. If you got something else laying around, you can do that. So then you'll just put the puller, the arm, right there between the loop of that wire, and then you'll have 3 of those that match up with the puller, and then you'll just crank on the puller with your hand, and these two right here in the middle, it'll separate. And so just crank on the puller with your hand. You don't need to use any special tools. Basically it's just the magnets holding this thing together, which hold it pretty tight. And so once you have that done, you'll have this side off by itself, and you'll have access to the bearing on this side. And so it's this bearing right here, and this was the one that looked like bad, and it's really rough, loose, rusty. And I'll give you the names. The bearings will be in the description, the sizes. And so to get that bearing out, you're going to need a torch, a little hand torch. You're going to want to heat up this piece right here all around the bearing. And I actually froze my bearings overnight. That's for going back in. To get it out, you're going to want to torch it all around the bearing, and then just tap it out, get a socket, the inside diameter of that bearing right there, and just tap it out, and it'll come out once you heat it up. And when you go back in, like I said, I froze my bearings, the new ones, overnight, and then right before I went to install them, I torched this piece again from the inside right around the bearing where it seats to expand it, and just match up a socket to the outside diameter of this race right here, and just tap it in straight, and it should go in. Went in fairly easy for me. So after that, you'll have the bearing on this side done. And then what you'll have left after you separated this thing is you'll have this shaft axle assembly still in this side. It'll be loose in there, but kind of wobbling around. It'll be held in place in there by this little plastic collar. It's kind of a guide, holds the wires in place, but as you can see, it doesn't come up over that lip, and so it's really hard to get off there. But the way I found out how to do it is to use the puller on this side now to pull this away from the axle here, the shaft, and that's gonna, as you pull, it's gonna bring this collar tight against that lip, and then you need to figure out a way to spread this collar to get it right over that lip as you're tightening the puller with your hand. And so what I use is some little C-clip pliers to kind of get in there and expand that collar just enough to get it up over that lip as I was using the puller. And then once you get it over that lip, just keep cranking on the puller, and then the whole inners with the axle assembly will just come out of this side of the case. And then again, you'll have access to this other bearing, which I don't know if it was bad or not, but while I'm there, I'm going to replace it. So again, I'll put the part number in the description. Then you'll have to torch it and then beat it out again with the hammer and the socket. And going back in, again, torch it, freeze the bearing overnight, tap it in, and you should be good to go. And at that point, it's just reversing the operation. You're going to want to slide this back in to this side of the case. You want to put this little plastic collar back on. What I found, I used like a deep socket to tap it over that lip right there and seat it back in there. Then you're just going to put the other half back on, and it'll clamp together pretty tight with the magnets, so watch your fingers. And at that point, put your screws back in on this side all the way around, tighten them down evenly. And once that's done, you can put your freewheel back on. Make sure you put the spacers back behind there, put the freewheel on, tighten it with this, just hit it with the impact real quick. Put your nut back on, tap it with the screwdriver, just tighten it a little bit, and then your hub will be back together with new bearings. And so the next part is lacing the wheel, and I was able to lace the wheel, just get the spokes in there. Make sure and take a picture before you start to see, make sure you know the pattern. But it's pretty difficult, actually. These things are, even when they're all loose, this wheel is tight, so it's a tight fit. You can either take it to a bike shop or try to do it yourself, but after I laced the wheel, I took it to a bike shop to have them true it, because I didn't want to do that, and they only charged $20, so all in all, in this, got $35 to fix it. So, and then once you get it back from the bike shop, you'll be here and, put the tire back on and put it back on the bike. Alright guys, hope this helped you decide if you want to try to replace the bearings or not. I'll put the part numbers and the tool in the description. Alright, thanks.